Hey friends! Today we are going to be talking about reading nonfiction text. And so I'm going to go over just several different things that I want you to keep in your mind when you are reading nonfiction text. So the first thing is we're going to go back to what we talked about when we talked about reading fiction, right? Because a good reader asks and answers questions throughout the time that they're reading. So when do we ask and answer questions? First, we do it before we read something. Then we do it during reading something, and then we ask and answer questions after we read something. The reason we do that, or the why behind it, is to get information, to help you understand the text, to practice being awake and thinking while you're reading, to be curious and wonder as you read. So how do we do this? We use question words to ask who, what, where, why, when, and how. And we look around in the text and pictures for evidence or details to help us find that answer. Now, as we're reading, just like we did in fiction, we want to monitor and clarify. How we do this is we pay attention as we read. If something doesn't make sense, then we try these things to help us to understand. The first thing we do is we reread the part of the text that you don't understand. Then you look for visual clues. How can the headings, the captions, the pictures, or the special type help me? Next, you're going to use what you already know to connect to the text. And you're going to, in your head, say, this part reminds me of... And then finally, we're going to go back to that asking questions. You're going to ask questions about the part you don't understand. You're going to think, what was that paragraph mostly about? And why did the main character say that? Well, in a nonfiction text, we're not really going to be talking about characters, but we would be thinking about what the author might be saying. And so in our head, we would think, why does the author say that? Now, when we're reading nonfiction text, we have to pay attention to content area words. Informational texts often use words from science and social studies to tell about a topic. So you think to yourself, how can I figure out what these words mean? Well, first, look at text features like titles and headings. Then look at the pictures. Ask and answer those questions, and then use context or the words in the sentences near the word, surrounding the word, to help you to understand what the meaning of the word might be. So when we're reading nonfiction text, we can also look at graphic features. Graphic features give information or support the words in a text. So some examples might be labels. Labels name what is in a photo or a part of a photo. And we can see this here in this photo. It has the sun and a mountain and some grass. And you can see that it has those arrows that are pointing to what those things are. Next, we might have graphics. Graphics are pictures, symbols, or other visuals that help us to better understand what we're reading about. So, now I want to talk about text organization. Informational texts have a structure or a type of organization that fits the topic and the author's purpose. Texts organized by cause and effects describe how one event leads to another event. Now I want you to think about this because when we talked about fiction, we talked about how we had that sort of roller coaster, right? Where we talked about the beginning and the middle and the end, and we talked about an introduction, and then we talked about finding out about the problem, and then solving that problem in the end. Well, in nonfiction text, that organization is a little bit different. So let's take a look here at this cause and effect. So cause is why something happens or the reason something happens. So in this picture, we see here that it rained a lot. So if it rained a lot, we might be able to come up with some guesses as to what might happen or the effect of it raining a lot. So the effect is what happens or the result. So in this graphic, we see that it rained a lot, and so the flowers in the garden grew. So we have some cause and effect clue words that we can think about to help us to remember this. And some of these words are because, so, since, if, and then, and as a result. All right, so here we go, friends. We're about to get to our nonfiction text features. And I know we've been talking about this all year, but nonfiction text features are what helps us to understand what we're reading in nonfiction text. And it's so important for us to know what those nonfiction text features are and how to use them when we're reading. So, text features. Authors choose text and graphic features to help explain ideas or to help readers locate information. So what are some examples we see on this page? First, we see at the top, captions. Captions are words or sentences about a picture. So you can see here that it has some pretend writing underneath it, right? But you have a picture, it has a mountain and a sun and some clouds in the sky, and then it has a caption underneath it. And those make-believe words are probably describing what we see in that photo. Now let's look beneath, and it says heading. Headings tell what part of a text is all about. They can help you find information. And then finally, like we mentioned before, graphics. Graphics are pictures, symbols, or other visuals, and some graphics give more information about a topic. Okay, moving on with those text features. Authors choose text features to help explain ideas or help readers locate information. So again, up at the top we have captions. So once again, we just looked at this. Captions are words or sentences about a picture. And then we have headings. We just mentioned that again. So we're going to say this again. Headings tell what part of a text is all about, and they help you find information. And here's a new one. This is a fact box. A fact box is a feature that tells special information about a topic. Now, let's look at some more text features. Graphs. Let's start with that one. Graphs organize information in a way that is easy to see and understand. So I want you all to take a look. We have some graphs here. Okay, we have a little pie chart, we have a bar graph, we have a line graph. All of these are ways that we can see and understand information. Then we have maps, right? And here's a picture of a map. And maps are small pictures of big places. And then finally on this page, we talk about icons. And icons are small pictures that stand for something else. So like, let me give you an example. We have a little musical note right here. Musical note stands for la 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 la. I'm not gonna sing for you, but I think you know what I mean. Or how about this heart? If we want to show that we like something or we love something, we might put a heart, right? So these are some icons that we can think about that might help us to understand what we're reading in nonfiction text. Okay, now let's think about another one. We're going to talk about italic text. Italic text is leaning to the right. You ready? We're going to be leaning to the right. I hope it looks like to the right on your screen. I'm leaning to my right. So when we have writing, we notice that regular, typical font stands straight up and down, but italic text goes sideways, slanted, and it's leaning to the right, and it means pay attention to what you're reading because this is important. So either we should pay attention to it or we should read it with more feeling. All right, now headings. Headings tell what a part of a text is all about. All right, at the top of this, we see diagrams. And we see here we have a barn. And a diagram is a picture with labels that tell what each part is. And labels name the parts of that picture. So here we have this barn, and we can see that the diagram shows us where the window is, the roof is, and the door is. Let's look at the bottom. We're going to once again revisit captions. And you can see here, again, we have a picture with some scribbly little lines underneath it. And that is going to be a description or sentences about a picture. And then headings, once again, tell us what part of a text is about, and they can help you find information. So let's see, we've covered captions, we've covered heading, we've covered graphics and a map and labels. So these are all text features that do what? They help explain ideas or help readers locate information. Let's look at some new text features. How about pronunciations? Pronunciations tell you how to say a word that you may not know, like this word. It says hola. Well, many of you may know that hola is Spanish for hello. But if you didn't know that and you saw this word, you might not know how to pronounce it because you see an H, and an H in our English language says right? So you might think that this would be hola, but it's not. And how we know that is because we look at the pronunciation right next to it where it says hola. And so we know that we are going to pronounce this word hola. Okay, friends, well, I hope that today this presentation has helped you with reading and understanding informational text and reviewing all of your text features that help you to understand ideas and locate information. I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Work hard on your work. You guys have got this. Rock stars! Woo! All right. Happy reading!